Welcome back to This Already, the final segment of today's Price of Business. Delighted to wrap it up with my friend Tom Fermina, consultant extraordinaire, a person who is a pioneer in our space program, one of the men who made that happen. And his website is awesome. It was rocketscience.com. He'd like to bring some of that rocket science back to the way we do business today. And certainly would love to at least bring some fundamental intelligence to Congress. And we're going to focus today on what he would perceive as a great agenda for that new Congress that's coming up to pursue to put America back on a healthy track. How are you, Tom?
Top of the morning, Kevin. I'm great. How are you?
Great, thank you. Real quickly, tell us about what your firm does, and then let's get into our topic.
We help companies be the best that they can possibly be, and that's anything from tuning you up to sending you to Mars. Tell me what you want to do, and we'll get there.
Very good. And we talked a little bit about the fact that we have a new Congress. We wanted to begin this week on the same topic. First of all, obviously, we're both certainly glad to see what has to be an improvement. And we also talked about some of the misgivings and the realities that we face of a president who will probably veto much of this. But my big deal is that Congress should give the American people a reason to keep voting for him. Republicans should keep giving him a reason. And who cares if the president says no? Let him become the do-nothing president. Let them be the do-something Congress. Don't you think?
Absolutely. I see this opportunity as golden. If we don't seize it, we're a bunch of idiots.
So what should that agenda look like?
Well, I think what we have to do is return this country to greatness. We've lost all of the hallmarks of us being the leaders in the space race, the leaders in technology, the leaders in manufacturing. The word leadership has dissipated from our vocabulary, and we've become a bunch of managers. We've become a bunch of czars, if you will. We need to start focusing on leadership.
What's interesting is it seems like this administration has been in the chaos and crisis business. Instead of returning to rule of law that eliminates that, they've replaced it with a dictatorial style that includes czars.
We've turned this representative republic into a monarchy of some sort. I'm not sure how we've allowed that to happen. All of the dialogue on the internet, on television the last couple of weeks, that people have awakened to say, how did we do this? Was I asleep at the switch when all this happened? Yes, the monarch in Washington, D.C. is dismantling our Constitution every day.
So let's talk about some of the key areas. And one of your hot topics, and I would consider one of your areas of expertise, is manufacturing. What should the Congress focus on in restoring that?
Well, manufacturing and American products and American services. We have summarily decided that we can't compete in the international marketplace by building products in the United States. We've abdicated the manufacturing to Mexico and China and a number of offshore destinations. Our business leaders, if you will, have just taken the easy road out. In taking that easy road out, they have given up on quality, reliability, and safety in our products. So I would like the Congress, if there is any leadership forthcoming, to start looking at how do we get the business leaders together once again and say, make American, buy American. It can be done. We can compete. There is absolutely no excuse for us to settle for the mediocrity that our manufacturing has fallen into.
Awesome. What about the tax situation? You know, the United States has now the worst tax environment, particularly for business, of any industrialized country in the world. What should they begin to tackle there?
Taxation, to me, is a necessary evil to have a militia and to run a central government. It's not for burdening business people with unnecessary dollars that go nowhere in furthering the common good. Again, if Congress wants to stir entrepreneurship, stir the American manufacturing resource back into our glory days, it's time to relook at the tax structure. We just voted down a margin tax in Nevada that would have been crippling to small business. I don't know where these folks think they are, what they're doing with this money that could possibly help all of us.
Yeah, and they like to quote the good old days of Dwight Eisenhower and say how he was a good Republican but still had massive taxes. And it's true. They were 20 points higher than they are today. But, you know, the world is so much more competitive now than it was back in the 1950s. Seems like to me competition would tell these businesses that the last thing you want to do is to have the highest taxes among your competitors.
Well, again, that assumes that the person sitting in the Oval Office has any clue. Entrepreneurship is the backbone of our free country, and whether you call it entrepreneurship or capitalism, the fact is that people like me who have businesses, who start businesses, who help businesses, need a free rein to do the right things. There are a lot of wrong things being done. In every organization I belong to, we have a self-policing group within the organization. And when you sign up for the American Society of Quality or the Institute of Management Consultants, you agree to abide by their tenets and their rules. And we don't have any more rules.
Tom Jeromina has been our guest. One last thought before I let you go. Your thoughts on regulations, because I think the United States now have among the most inconsistent, incongruent regulatory environments in the world. Federal government contradicting state, state contradicting loco. A little bit about that before we wrap it up.
What are regulations for? Are they to keep us from harming ourselves? Are they there to keep the predators from harming us? We have just legislated ourselves into a box. We can't turn around without having to fill out some federal form. It's time to start having people be accountable for their own actions, don't you think?
I think you're absolutely right. Tom Jeromina, it was rocket science, and I've read now 2 of your books. I encourage the listener to read your work as well. Very forward-thinking, and it's amazing such forward-thinking got force really in the 1960s. And I love what you do. Thank you very much, sir. We're going to get you back on soon again. I am Kevin Price. Make sure you check out Tom and more at priceofbusiness.com.